Nothing changes faster than the weather, but we're running a close second. Stay informed with Weather Center all day today and every day.
In the next half hour, Weather Center, a comprehensive national forecast. At 40 after, Weather Center continues with highway and air travel conditions. Then the weekend outlook. And at 50 after, Storm Watch. But right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
Good afternoon. I'm Kristen Dodd, live in Syracuse, New York, where the snow has been coming down all morning. We do have some accidents on the roadways and plenty of problems here. I'll have a live report coming up in just a moment. Now back to Cheryl and Bruce in the studio with the current weather picture.
Thank you very much, Kristen. Well, snow is indeed the big story today in the Northeast. And while cooler temperatures are making things a bit uncomfortable in the Southeast, the Plains, and the Ohio Valley. Good morning, everyone. I'm Bruce Edwards.
And good morning. I'm Cheryl Lemke. Thanks for joining us. Well, warm clothing will be essential again today in the Northeast as the storm produces a variety of wintry precipitation. And our latest weather map showing us that it is quite chilly throughout the Northeast, with 20s and 30s and lower 40s very common. So I'm sure the winter coats and the parkas will be a common sight from Beantown all the way back towards the nation's capital. We're watching a storm system spinning through the Northeast, and boy, has it caused a mess this morning. We've had locally heavy rains in some locales, like in Pennsylvania, where there's still some localized flooding, but we've also had some icing problems and then locally heavy snows, especially around the Great Lakes. Well, snowfall totals could eventually add up to 4 or maybe even up to 6 inches of snow for Syracuse. That's where the Weather Channel's Kristen Dodd is tracking the storm. Kristen, what's the latest?
Well, Cheryl, the latest is that we're beginning to enter a dry period in the snowstorm. The snow has tapered off a bit. We're down to really some flurries after bursts of heavy snow earlier this morning. And that heavy snow has accumulated here on the surfaces as we have about 2.5 inches of snow on the ground, very wet and compact. And it could be causing a few problems with downing some trees and power lines later on today. In the parking lot behind me, you can see the plows are hard at work, and we also are seeing the mountains of snow that are beginning to become a common sight here in Syracuse today. As far as problems on the roadways, we have been seeing those on Interstate 81, and you can see behind me right now, we have had a car spin out, an accident back there. Earlier we had an emergency truck and crew and an ambulance on the scene, but that left. Apparently we don't have any injuries, but we are going to see plenty of fender benders throughout the afternoon. As far as what is going to happen from here on out, it looks like as our coastal low begins to gain a little bit more strength, we will see a little bit drier period until later on this afternoon when those winds begin to change throughout the Northeast, some colder air coming in, and that's where we'll see our sleet and snow mix change back over to all snow. So more is on the way for folks here in Syracuse, and we'll bring you live reports throughout the day. Cheryl?
Thanks, Kristen. Kristen was showing us some of those fender benders around Syracuse due to the snow. Now, another concern, though, with the snow is that it's a heavy, wet type of snow, high moisture content, so it does weigh down the trees and the power lines. There's a chance for some downed trees and power lines across the area today, so be careful for that. And also, because it's a heavy snowfall, be careful because when you're shoveling it, it's going to be very, very exerting on your body. Now, we're watching the snow lifting up through Buffalo. Very heavy snow still in progress for the Rochester and the Watertown vicinity. Meanwhile, we've had a cold rain this morning for New York City. Most of that has come to an end, at least for the time being. But throughout the rest of the afternoon, there is a chance for more rain, maybe interspersed with some sleet and maybe interspersed with some snow flurries. So you're still not out of the woods just yet around the Big Apple. And for those of you traveling around the Boston area, maybe heading off to the shopping malls, be prepared for more snow. We've had some light snow already, and more of that yet to come. Actually, the snow is wrapping in behind our system. We have quite a bit of snow, too, coming down across Ohio. Around Cleveland, Pepper Pike, and Shaker Heights, you're seeing the snow. Snowy, wintry weather, too, Detroit and Toledo, all the way southward towards Lexington and Louisville, Kentucky. Yes, a major headache throughout the Northeast if you're doing the traveling. We've had the heavy snows, but also heavy rainfall. We still have some flood warnings out for Perry and Cumberland counties in Pennsylvania. We've had close to 4 inches of rain, so watch out because some roads have been shut down. But the heavier snow is pummeling interior sections. And the good news with all this, though, is that the ski resorts will see lots of fresh powder. So if you're making plans to head over towards Attitash or Jay Peak, get out and enjoy. Now let's check out some chilly temperatures. Here's Bruce.
On the other side of the coin in the deep south, you'll be still scrambling for sweaters or even something heavier that help you feel more comfortable today, as the southeast, the plains of the Ohio Valley are nippy. Colder temperatures are the reason for that, and they're going to stick around for a while. We look back, as a matter of fact, yesterday. We got a harbinger of things to come as we see how yesterday's high temperatures compared to normal, and you see in the heartland way below normal, especially across the lower Mississippi Valley, 25 degrees below normal. We have the ridge in the west, so we had above normal temperatures here. The trough here driving the cold air down to the south. That cold air is now sliding on towards the east, coming around behind this low pressure system. You've got clouds, you've got flurries, you've got cold air, you've got gusty winds, and it's all combining to make it somewhat miserable. Despite some sunshine across the Gulf Coast today and into Florida, it is chilly. As a matter of fact, in Tampa right now, the temperature is 11 degrees colder than it was at this time yesterday. Miami's temperature is 8 degrees colder, but look at this, Charleston and Atlanta, it's 17 degrees colder right now than it was at this time yesterday, so that cold air is bearing down on the deep south. Look at the numbers. As they say, read them and weep. Oh, you might just do that. Birmingham, Atlanta, 38 right now. It's 43 in Jackson, Mississippi. Only 50 Panama City and Jacksonville, and I say only 63 in Orlando. 70s are normal. Wind chill values, it feels just above freezing in Jacksonville. 20 degrees in Atlanta is the wind chill, 29 in Birmingham. It's freezing in Boston right now. 36 in New York, once again with a combo of rain and sleet and wind. So wind chill value in Boston is 1. 10 in New York, feels like 3 in Rochester, 4 in Erie, 8 for Detroit, Michigan this afternoon. And look at this, just above freezing in the best location in the nation, Cleveland, Ohio, 40 in Chicago. But again, the winds are a little frisky, especially with the snowflakes flying in and around the Cleveland metro area. And the wind chill values there feel more like 10 degrees in Cleveland, Ohio, 18 in Chicago. Not bad in the west, though. This is the only area of mild air. And as the sun's starting to come up right now, it's warming it up to 61 in Phoenix. These are normal highs this weekend. This is what you should expect. But don't expect to get there in the east. Oh, colder than normal readings, 40s into Atlanta and Birmingham, 50s to the Gulf Coast. And as a normal, typical first weekend of springtime lows, we should see 40s into the south and mainly 30s off to the north. Well, we're going to see the 20s and the teens to the north and 30s down into Florida. There's the big picture all in one piece. Now with a look at your Saturday forecast, here again is Cheryl.
Well, Mother Nature can be quite fickle, and despite the fact that the calendar does say it's springtime, it still feels like winter throughout the Northeast, as the snow will still be piling up today, Pennsylvania, New York State, and over towards northern New England. And we've had the colder air wrapping in behind our storm system, and believe it or not, we've had snow as far south as Rome, Georgia. So even the southeast still seeing a little bit of the wintry weather taking place this morning. Farther towards the west, all is quiet except the Pacific Northwest. You've had several days worth of dry weather, but that's going to be coming to a screeching halt as our system noses in, and the rains will start to pick up later this afternoon and continuing for your Sunday in Seattle and Portland. So as you're heading to church, it may be rather wet for the Pacific Northwest. And again, the snow is very heavy today across interior sections of New York State, and more snow too piling up for New England.
Well, indeed, it appears that dry spell in the northwest is over. How will that affect your travel?
And the snow, too, could be a problem as well. Stay tuned. We'll check out traveling conditions all across the country. That's coming up in just a moment.